Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. Aaron,
And Daniel.
perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trying to
Thank you
mix
for
it up.
the nice introduction.
Mhm.
So today is always one of our favorites. Having a pest guest is a highlight of doing, the podcast.
Sure.
Apart from giving back information and things that we've learned from going to different programs, different classes, but always bringing on a whole new and different perspective from a different part of the world in some cases, and even in the States here, from a different state. It's always nice to have a different pest guest come on
Mhm.
and bring their perspective to the mix. That's when I learn a lot. I take a lot from that. So who is it today, Aaron?
Great. We have Casey Roberts, 7 years in the industry, wears a ton of different hats, which we'll kind of go over as the episode goes on. But Casey, can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear.
Very good. Thank you again for taking the time to come on the show. We love having the pest guests and connecting. One of the first questions we always ask is, you yourself, how did you get in the industry? Because it's always something crazy.
It was just a stroke of luck, actually, because I moved from Cocoa Beach, Florida to Dauphin Island, Alabama. And it was a last minute thing, kind of. And I was ending a relationship in Florida and wanted a new start. So I came out here and I met a guy from Cook's Pest Control doing a builder conversion at my dad's house, basically. And asked him how he liked the job, told him I was looking to get into something different, was in the mortgage business, and then got a couple of offers from different industries. And I chose to go with the pest control one because it seemed like it had the best benefits, freedom, vehicle, all sorts of different perks that were good for me at the time. And one thing led to another, and I just fell in love with the business.
And how long ago was that?
That was 7 years ago. That was August of 2017. So 6.8 years ago, basically.
Wow.
Coming up on my anniversary in the industry.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a good amount of time. What have you liked most about it? I mean, you've been in it. I know why you got into it, but now why have you stayed?
The best thing about this industry is just freedom and the amount of creativity that you can experience. It's not like regular jobs where you gotta, sometimes you have to punch in, sometimes you don't, sometimes you start from the house, but in general, you can do what you have to do. And if you're competent and if you are serious about your job, you can elevate yourself in this industry extremely quickly. And, you stand out in the crowd, hopefully not too much, but definitely. So that's one of the best things. And then the creativity part, or the creative aspect of this industry, is, you always have to, nothing is like the same every single time you go somewhere. It's always a little different. There's always something extra to take into consideration or game plan for. And it's every day is like being in like a murder mystery. Like, okay, let's follow the clues. Let's go here. Let's talk to this person. Let's look at this house. And, it's just, it's very exciting for me.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, no. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, everyone has their own little reasons why they got into it, whether it was just by sheer luck, a fluke, whatever. But once you're in it, there's so much, when you actually do apply yourself, there's so much good that can come from it. And I love the same things that you just said, is the difference between everything. You're going into a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be with rats, right? It's not the same one as before. It's a whole different house. It's different types of rodents. Everything that they're eating, their diet, the paths that they're taking. I mean, so much can change, and it gets you to think. And it's just not it's not as mindless as other jobs where you're just doing that repetitive same thing over
Absolutely.
and over. Yeah. So I do love that about it. And what exactly are you doing right now? I know we kind of introduced you and kind of what that is, but what specifically do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, where I'm at right now, I have, as I've gotten older and slightly lazier, I've tried to come up with better ways to keep sales rolling in with as little effort as possible, kind of, so to speak. You still have to work hard, but I like residual income, and there's not a lot in this industry for the general worker like myself. And so I basically hit the streets, decided to come up with a program where I did a lot of real estate outreach, taught some classes about termites for what it's worth to realtors at lunch and learns. And so basically, I created a title for myself, a real estate coordinator. And so what that means is that if they have a question about real estate, I have enough experience where I can probably answer it, and then also come up with my own strategies on how to increase our lead flow. So through real estate.
Gotcha. Okay. So your main focus is on the real estate market and keeping, I guess you get enough of them, they're just going to start flooding you with all their leads.
They do. And in a state like Alabama, especially in Baldwin and Mobile County, which is two counties that border the Gulf of Mexico, we have an incredible termite problem here. And so a lot of real estate transactions require, one way or another, that a termite bond be set in place, either a damage replacement or a retreatment, whichever the home qualifies for, of course. But so that being said, they need a person that they can rely on, that picks up their phone, and I'm a dog on that. Like I keep my phone. I was at Disney a couple weeks ago answering calls. I went to see Teddy Swims in Birmingham on Monday, and I set 6 appointments from the road. So I learned that as long as that you can give them the very best customer service, then they will just continuously call you back and call you back, And you have to have a good price too. There's definitely competition out there, but with a mid-range price and excellent customer service, you can accomplish a lot with them. So.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's really the key in almost anything. I mean, it's so many people don't even care about what the cost is going to be as long as they know you're going to answer and you're going to show up. I mean, we've pulled on, I can't tell you how many apartment complexes recently because we're willing to go out there. They don't even use the current company they have. They haven't even canceled their company, and they're using us because we're willing to answer, we're willing to get out there, and we're willing to do the work really quickly. And so they jump on that. And that's awesome that you figured that out and you're using it and applying it, because that's a huge advantage.
Well, it was the same. It worked for me in the same capacity when I was a commercial consultant for another company. It was the same. I basically just took the strategies that I worked out from that one. And it's just all this, it's plug and play. Make a connection, give them great service, tell them you're going to give them great service, give them great service, and then, try to build a relationship behind that. And so that it was just basically just transferred the concept to a more residential footing, basically. So.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome that you were able to do that. And I love that when people come in from different industries and they pull that twist into it, because, a lot of the pest control guys, were born into it. Their dad did it. Their grandpa did it. They're doing it. So they don't know what the outside world really looks like. And when you come from outside the industry, I wasn't in the industry. I didn't know anything about pest control before I got into it. So I brought my own little twist to it. Aaron did the same thing. He came in, whole different industry. He wasn't even doing anything with pest control, and has brought his whole twist to it and a different aspect, which is amazing. And I mean, hopefully, obviously, you're with a decent company that's allowing you to do those things, and they're open to kind of thinking outside the box. There's a lot that don't.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Rusty actually came up with one of our core values is creativation, and think like an outsider, and that's what we value. We bring in a lot of people from outside the industry, and every new perspective adds a little something extra.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it does, and it's a huge value behind it too.
Yeah, I was gonna say we actually came up with one of our own categories as a solutionist.
Yeah,
That's something that like a word we created. Having people that are able to make decisions in the field and deliver on those promises is so valuable out here.
Yes.
Casey, real quick, you said you're coming up on your 7 years, and you kind of gave us a little backstory on what you're doing with the real estate side. I'm curious, what does the forecast look like for you? Whether it's like this year, next couple of years, or long term, where do you see that going, or what do you want to do with it?
With the real estate industry specifically?
Yes, what you're doing.
Well, there's always going to be different ways that you can, different angles that you can come up with. So I would love to expand upon that, build my reputation. My reputation is literally the only thing that I have right now. And and that's a value for me. That's a value for the company I'm with. And I fight very hard to maintain that. Even sometimes, maybe get a little too passionate at the office or whatnot. But I have a really great supportive staff around me, not only coworkers, but managers as well. And, I'd like to expand to be the only person that all real estate agents call. I know that's a little maybe excessive, but if I fall just a little short of that, then I'll be successful. So, but other than that, just coming up with new ideas. Yesterday, I tried a new idea. I asked the real estate broker, hey, if I gave you a WIR, even though you don't need one, would that help you maybe sell the home? You could put that online with a picture of the house, brand new WIR done. So we're going to try that and just continue to innovate and be creative.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
Yeah, bring that value back to your clients, which is the real estate agent. So you're bringing that value. They sell the home. They're going to start doing that more and more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully in the future, maybe be an operations manager like you, sir, but or an owner as well. But for right now, the biggest thing I can do is keep working on my my name out there in the industry.
Yeah, and it is really refreshing, as I appreciate about you and some of the guests we have on, is it sounds like you have fun with it. It's whatever situation is thrown at you, at least for me, and what Daniel's told me, I treat it like a game sometimes, where it's like it's a challenge and it's engaging, and I have to overcome and get creative, and I think it's fun, in whatever capacity of the pest control world you do, having fun with it and looking at it from that perspective just produces way better results, because you're actually willing to go through the trial and error. And you just said, I tried something yesterday and we'll see how it works. And I just love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's something that, keep that passion going, because that's what drives that future. I mean, even me, Aaron, I have more time than Aaron in the industry, but trying those new things, constantly changing it, it creates so much more value behind what you're doing and so much more growth behind what you're doing. We've been able to see so much because of it. And it's so crucial. I mean, so keep going, keep doing that. That's awesome that you're even able to have that, because I know there's a lot of owners that are, hey, you don't get to do that. Don't step outside of that box. And he said, hey, step outside of that box and really push, to see what we can do. And so that's awesome that you're at a good spot.
Absolutely. Mr. Rusty is definitely an innovator, and the best thing is that, he'll spend the money to get something done. And it's very refreshing to work in an environment like that, where it's okay, let's try to be the best we can. Now let's figure it out. And it's, how could you not want to go along for the ride,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, honestly, it puts a smile on my face when I hear that. We just had another pest guest on, Brian Goldman. If you haven't heard that one, And he's that type of owner. He sits back and he's like, hey, let's figure this out. Let's go. He's pushing his people to be creative and really grow. And that's it's awesome because you don't hear that. I mean, I hear it here with our employees, and it's so different working here, so it's always good to hear that, especially from, someone who's out in the field, the thick and thin of it, and you're doing it, and you have that backing behind you. So that's really cool.
Well, what's some, as an owner, like what are, with a good culture, what are some secrets that you might be able to share that for that success?
Ooh, I guess that's a good question. I mean, here we've gone through some good and we've gone through a lot of bad. The main thing that, we had to pull from it is, what did I learn from that past experience? And for me, I try to make it very clear to everybody. And I think it's the same with Aaron is, we don't ask much, just as, I don't ask a lot from the guys. I just want you to show up on time. We actually just talked about this a couple days ago is, showing up on time, doing a great job. I'm not asking you to do more than that. That's okay. You don't have to. If you want to, great. You're going to move up most likely. If you don't, great. There's no problem. But we don't necessarily get on them or reprimand them for thinking outside the box. There is no, micromanaging. They really have the freedom to do what they want, how they want, and even their day, as long as it's done in a timely manner, on time, within that 8 hours, unless we put more than that. But they have a lot of freedom. And I don't know if there's any secret behind it. I just think as a whole, you start to bring on people that are a part of that environment and a part of that culture. And as those people come on, those people stay. The people that can't be involved in that environment and that culture, they're naturally going to get pushed out and they're going to leave. And it's really cool to sit back now a little bit further back and not be in it, where my face is literally in everything, doing everything, and sitting back a little bit further and watching how that all comes together. And it almost eliminates, the people that you don't want, the people you don't need.
Mhm.
And it's kind of cool to see that from that perspective. I don't know if you have a different answer, Aaron.
Similar. For my example, Daniel found me out in the wild and brought me in to run the office for him. Everything sounded great on paper, a ton of sales background. I had office experience. I absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated it for the first 3 months because I'm just not good at a desk for 8 hours. I like doing stuff like this where I'm engaging with people, I'm talking, I'm communicating, I'm getting challenged, and we shifted me to a more appropriate role, and things just skyrocketed. And we've kind of had a very similar approach to any new talent that we bring on. We really focus on, obviously you're coming here to do pest control, but what do you like doing? What lights that fire for you? And sometimes we have a guy who's just like, honestly, if I can work in the middle of the night and not talk to anybody and do as many accounts as I can and make as much money, cool. So we loaded him up month after month. His stuff is preloaded and he gets worked and he loves it. Where some people, they want to have that conversation. They want to do the inspections. You know what I mean? So it's just really tailoring people's strengths aligned with the growth of the company and allowing it to naturally progress with us monitoring from the back end.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah.
Casey, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask? I mean, now that you have asked one.
I did. I was very excited to possibly speak to you about drywood termites, since y'all are out in California. Do you have a lot of those out there?
So that is a great question. And that is where my expertise falls off the cliff. We have a ton of termites out here. You can't sell a home unless you've had a termite inspection.
Nice.
You can't buy a home until you've had a termite inspection. And so there is a lot out here, but how California structures their licensing, you have to be licensed to be able to do that work. And so We have not done any work with termites because we don't have the licensing for it. Do I know about termites? Yes. I'm not an expert though, unfortunately.
Well, you're lucky because with the insurance rates for having a termite business right now, it is just absolutely astronomical, at least where I am.
Yes. And I would assume it is the exact same here
Yeah.
because even our insurances, if we're doing bed bug treatments and things like that, they add on a lot. So, and that's just bed bugs. We're not even doing any structural changes or renovations or anything like that. So I can only imagine how much more is on the termite side. And I do know a lot of companies here, they stay away from tearing down walls. They'll do the treatment itself, but they will not go in and take down a wall or replace any wood or do anything like that. They stay out of it.
Do you have damage replacement guarantees there where they say, okay, if they get past our system, we'll cover you insurance wise? Or
There are some companies I've heard doing that is where if, they will guarantee it, but they put the stakes in the ground, they're going to monitor those and then they do treatments on that. But I don't know all the little details. I wish I knew more about the termite side. It is something we have been looking into very seriously recently, and want to get into actually. So we will be getting in and dabbling into that. And once I jump into it, hopefully I'll learn as much as I can. I'm usually a sponge at that point, and I just soak up everything I possibly can, find. And I go into classes and I go to everything. So hopefully soon I'll be in that.
I find that I get a lot of information. We use Centricon, and I personally would not, unless I absolutely had to, and then maybe wouldn't even do it at all, period, use any other product but Centricon from what I've seen over the last 7 years in one of the biggest Formosan infested areas, if not the biggest in the country. So I rely on my Centricon rep quite a bit for information, and that if you guys do start to think about moving in that direction, that Centricon rep is just so invaluable.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. No, I love picking everybody's brains. Any chemical rep, anybody like that, I'm jumping on. Even our distributor reps, I'm jumping on. I'm asking them questions. I'm picking their brain about everything. And then usually what I'll do is I'll pull in all that information and I go back down and I just start to dissect it and say, okay, this was good. That doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to throw that away. This was good, but I could probably use it here. And so I start doing all that. But I would love that information. If you have his information to send to us, that'd be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our guy is Eric, but I'm sure he has a contact for you out there.
Oh, I mean, even if he's not out here, I don't care, because you get that perspective from a whole different state, different types of insects. That's something that you start getting those little tips and tricks. Like prime example, I went to the Wildlife Expo in South Carolina, and the stuff I was hearing, it's like, we don't do that in California. Nobody does that in California. That's not even heard of. So I'm okay with you being out of state. I love that because I can start to pull all that information in, and then that just gives me an advantage over everybody else.
Yeah.
So
that's great. That's
fantastic. please send me his information.
I will. I will. I'll make it a priority. Actually, I'll call him when we hang up. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Casey. So if you didn't know, it's National Pest Management Month, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
I wait for it every year.
Well,
love that.
I hope you're not that excited about it, but so did you know we're doing a competition?
I did not. No, sir.
Okay, perfect. So Casey, we're doing a competition. You need to be a part of it. You are actually now a part of it, and you didn't even realize you're a part of it. So whether you like it or not, you're here.
Voluntold.
Yes. So we want to get the best story from the guys that are out there. the craziest story, just something you got. We want to hear it. The best story is going to win. We're going to send you some swag. So hoodie, t-shirt, hat. Think about your best experience out there, or worst.
Or worst.
Yeah, give us a good one. What do you got for us off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, what I deal with a lot is people that don't understand maybe pricing or something like that. So I usually don't have horrible experiences. However, I went to a home recently. Actually, it was an old a commercial account, and it had been just left open for years. It was an old. They made food there. I don't really want to disclose too much about it, just in case. But
Okay.
it was infested with rats, trees on the roof, wide open crawl space, low crawl space, moisture in there, holes in the wall. And it was the very first job that I ever recommended that we start off using Liquitox at. And I don't even know if it can. Can y'all even use that out in California?
No,
Probably not.
Yeah. It must be hard to operate a pest control company in the most conservative, or surprisingly, state and for industry standards. But anyways, I went there and they were just everywhere. Big fat roof rats everywhere, and it was so bad. It was the first one in 7 years, as someone that builds plans of action for situations, that I've ever said, you know what, we have to shock and awe this place. If we're not going to burn it down, we got to use Liquitox. So
There it is.
but that was this week, actually, this past week.
And
So
have you done a follow-up on that one yet?
It was Friday. It was yesterday. So
Ooh.
we are just about to get started, but I offered to bring my dog because we hunt rats at night for fun, around chicken coops and all of that. And
Okay.
Oh, cool.
but the lady said that she had distributed 3.5 pounds of rodenticide, and obviously when I got there, it was not secured. So it was it was pretty rough. But we're gonna help her out. We're gonna get her squared away.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm gonna follow up with you on Monday then. Or Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll send you an email.
Yeah.
I want to know how many dead rats you get.
Well, I pulled one out as I was leaving.
Oh, okay.
That must have achieved its toxicity level from her Walmart stuff, but
yeah. Oh man, that is and you know what? I'll hit on it real quick. You mentioned it. It's very interesting to have a ton of restrictions added on and run a company out here. But I will say, Casey, it keeps you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you very creative. And it also makes you secretive in some cases, because you're going to do stuff that they may not necessarily like, but there is no way other way around it.
Sure.
No one's probably willing to say that out loud, but I don't really care. So I know they're doing it and everyone's doing it, but you do have to get more creative out here. And I'll add a little story on how conservative some people are. And I haven't even told Erin this story yet because it happened yesterday. I was talking to a new customer over the phone. She wants to get signed up. She has outdoor cockroaches coming in. And I said, hey, do you want us to place glue boards? Because she took pictures and sent them to me and they were just on her floor. And I said, hey, we'll place out some glue boards. They'll help it so you don't see them. They'll get caught on the glue board. And she said, that like alive? I'm like, well, yeah, it's sticky. They're going to get stuck to it and they're going to, that's what it does. She's like, oh, I don't know. That doesn't sound very humane. I'm like, oh my God. And you think a pesticide is going to be any better? But I didn't say anything. I just said, okay, well, we won't put out glue boards then.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting and it's fun. But you just got to get creative with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we close, Casey, thank you so much for coming on. It was awesome talking to you. Aaron, was there anything else that you wanted to throw out there?
Yes. So let's say somebody's just getting in the industry. What's one piece of advice you'd give somebody who's on day one in pest control?
I would say on day one, download Spotify so you can watch the DNA Pest Control podcast. And
Ooh, someone just got
this is, but seriously, I have learned a lot from y'all, and especially in I really look forward to the technical episodes where you break things down and you speak about individual parts of the industry, rodents or products or whatever the case may be, and I get a lot from that. After finding good outlets for education, if you're not getting them from a company that has that in place, I would just try to ask as many questions for as long as you possibly can, years and years, and 6-7 years into it, and I still learn brand new things every week. So it's being inquisitive and not being scared to speak up is basically, I would say, my number one piece of advice.
That's great.
No, honestly, Casey, you couldn't have said it better. And that is just a testament to you have to stay open-minded in this industry. It changes so often, even here and over there, it sounds like. But there's so much information out there that's not even readily available. So asking those questions, being open-minded, being ready to change at any moment, so crucial in the industry and so crucial for growth. So that's awesome that you're throwing that out there and that you're actually living it too.
If you ever get down to the Gulf Coast around springtime, let me know and we'll do a crawfish boil.
Oh, don't. Hey, that's on then. Yeah. Don't even say that. I'll fly out there.
Yeah.
And we're coming.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Casey, and you have a wonderful weekend. And we'll be in touch with that contact that you have. And then I'm going to follow back up because we want to give the listeners the rest of this story on the rodent situation.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, you have a good day.
All right. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. There we go. We got Casey, the next pest guest.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Casey, for coming on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I love about it is, just the difference of what they're at, where they're in, what they can use, different perspectives of it, different times that they've been in. He came into it later in his life, and you're seeing just so much. It's every single one is so different. Usually the reasons why they stay is almost the same, which is awesome, but everybody, it's just so different in that way. But it's awesome to have these pest guests on because the ones that we have had on are so unique in their experience of, I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to change, I want to be better, I want this, I want that, and they're in this growth mindset. It's like, oh my gosh, you guys do exist.
Yeah, it is super refreshing. I agree.
Oh yeah, no. So Casey, awesome, man. Thank you so much. I can't wait for you to go back and actually watch this and listen to this. It was a great experience, and thanks for your input on the termite situation, even what you've done on the cell side of things. It's good information, whether you're a business owner. Look, I mean, even Casey, who's working for somebody who's building up what he wants, to create the most amount of income with the little, with the littlest amount of effort. And he's doing it. You don't have to have your own business to do that. And he understands it.
Yeah.
He took advantage of it, and it's awesome. And it's like, that's what that's such the mindset. You guys got to change your mindset.
Agreed.
You can look at it in such a different way. And Casey has done that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And congratulations where you're at. Congratulations on coming up on 7 years.
7 years
Yep.
in August.
Yeah. So super close, man. That's awesome. And yes, We are going to drop a follow-up episode. Not actually, maybe we could pull him back on.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
Casey, we're going to pull you back on.
Yeah.
We're going to pull you back on next week. We'll do a quick follow-up with you and throw that out just so everyone can hear the follow-up story, because he picked a fresh story. That was too fresh.
A little bit. So we'll give him a chance, but
Yeah,
that was great. And again, guys, it's NPMM. So another great Pest Guest episode. There's only a few more slots available for the end of the month.
Yeah.
So please, I mean, we have a ton of fun doing this, connecting with you guys. If you like this episode and you want to be a part of it, or you know somebody that would be a great fit on the podcast, someone with great energy that you know in the office or out in the field that you want to see up here on camera, please send them our information. We have our website where you can actually fill out the Q&A and submit it, and we'll send you an invite to come on the show. But also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We drop episodes every Monday and Thursday. But thank you again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.